Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to be overly critical and analytical. We're going to compare both the Russian systems to America, but this video is mainly focused on the Russian arsenal. We may go back and forth between the two of them. I hope you guys can keep track. Before we get started, I want you to head over here to the message for the team. I want you to click on it, and I want you to complete this survey if you don't mind. Please let me know if I'm being fair in the comments when making my assessment. That's the only way you guys keep me in check. And without further ado, the first thing we're going to click on is we're going to click on Russia, and we're going to take a look at their reconnaissance vehicles. So the first thing I want to talk about is I'm going to provide my summary up front because I don't want this to be a 40-minute video and I'm going to summarize it at the end. So I'm going to provide you my summary right now, what I think of the current weapon systems. One, the infantry, in my opinion, once I show them to you, you'll notice there's a few discrepancies when you compare them to the Marines. They have more rocket launchers, they have more health, and I believe they actually have one more person. Overall, a really powerful infantry squad when compared to the Marines. Their vehicles, there's a lot more that can be airdropped. Whereas if we click on this one recon unit under Russia, there's only one airdroppable recon unit for both sides. So Russia and America both have one airdroppable recon unit. Perfectly fine. But once we move into vehicles, you're going to notice there's a ton of amphibious Russian vehicles. There's also a ton of airdroppable vehicles. The next thing we'd move into is to support. So what do we have right now? We have a really strong Russian infantry. We have a really mobile Russian mechanized and armored force. And they can also be sent to the battlefield a lot easier because they can be dropped out of vehicles. So like helicopters and airplanes. Next, you'll notice under support, the Russian obviously has a really good artillery selection, as well as a good anti-air selection. The one thing that kind of makes them a bit different is the U.S. is able to outrange them with their ATACMs, and they're more accurate, but overall it's more expensive. The HIMARS, they have less range than a lot of the Russian artillery. They also cost a bit more. The Russian helicopters do come equipped with more, I believe, 12 air-to-ground missiles or precision-guided missiles compared to America's 8. You'll notice that as well as I talk about this. So you'll also notice that the Su-57 is quite a bit faster than the F-35 and F-22, but it does have a bit less maneuverability, I believe like 30. So overall, my summary is there's a lot of passion put into the Russian side. There's also a lot of power put into the Russian side. We haven't played with it in the deck builder yet, and I know these numbers aren't final, but it does look like there's a lot more effort going into the Russian side and a lot more thought and a lot more adaptability and balance. The biggest difference between a lot of it is dispersion and reload rate when it comes to balance. The Russians don't have as much precision, and you can do with that what you will. When I was using the mortars within the scenario, they were fairly accurate and not overly powered. So my summary is I really want this feedback. I want your guys' feedback in the comments. I want to know what you think of the current situation, if it's leaning too far one direction or the other. It is alpha, but as you can see, I mean, like right off the bat, if you just click on one of these BRDMs or PRPs, you can see that like the weapon systems, they work. Like the cameras rotate, they turn, and there's just a lot of passion put into the Russian side. Whereas if you could just come over to the NATO side, you can already see like it's just boring, bland, very dirty. I mean, that's fine, but no real effort, especially when it comes to these like secondary guns, like the weapon systems. They're all the same, right? They're all absolutely the same. I mean, this one gets a grenade launcher, a 30mm cannon, and then one with a javelin. So overall, I think this is a really powerful, but if we were to go into, I'll show you here in a moment. So let's just get started. Right here, and I'm just going to speed through this. I really want to talk about these UAVs. I think this is the only area where America kind of stacks up against the Russians. Our helicopter UAV is extremely powerful, but as you see, you get three really nice UAVs with laser designators, a nice little weapons package. Overall, I really enjoy these vehicles. I can't wait to use them on the battlefield. The BRDM should be, in my opinion, a bit underpowered. It does get a cannon, what looks to be an AG-7. Direct shot ground infantry, dispersion 5 meters, blast radius, high explosive anti-tank. Is that the only vehicle with like an anti-tank missile? I don't remember. I don't think so, right? We get a Bradley, if I remember correctly. And we also have a lot of recon vehicles, right? We can really like up this unit to be really powerful. So there's a bit of balance going on. This LAVs Also kind of acts as a recon vehicle, but that gun's not very good. Easily destroyable. Units, I believe the Ratsvika is really good. RPG 7s, no real comparison. These would be like, you compare these to like the Pararescue or the Marine Raiders. I also noticed there was no specific, that's a lot of rocket launchers though for a recon unit. Spetsnaz grew 3 rocket launchers. What's the US got? Force Recon, 2 rocket launchers. And like, I'm going to try and like be like, okay, you know, they're really strong. 2 rocket launchers compared to Rangers, 1 rocket launcher, and Scout Snipers. Pararescue, no rocket launchers. Overall, that's another disparity. Lots of rocket launchers with this little squad right here. Where'd they go? Right here. Spetsnaz Gru. Really, really powerful recon unit. There's no reason not to bring this one over the other ones. I mean, why would you bring this Redvika 2 rocket launchers when you can have 3 rocket launchers, you know? So I think these units are going to be really powerful. I mean, you're going to put these units forward of your position, and you're going to try and target any light infantry or light tank with these. So any recon units, Bradleys, JLTVs, things like that, these are going to be excellent at dealing with them. I would pick these over a lot of these other units. I mean, there's really no other reason to pick a same base cost, right? 2, you get an SVD, a bit of a sniper, and maybe a bit, so that gives you a bit of an extra range. No, same range. Yeah, that's probably one of the best recon units I've seen right now. Really, really strong. Infantry, so this is where we're going to make our Marines versus comparison. This base infantry squad for 60, you get 2 RPG 7Ds, you get 1 more person, more health. Really, really, really powerful system. If we click down, as you see, 600 meters. So if we were to compare these units to the Marines, right? Marines first to the fight. They only have 1 weapon system, 6 rockets. So you have, for the same cost, you get 1 less person, a little bit less health, and 6 less rockets. This would be my comparison, right? I think that's a fair comparison for the Desatnetsky to be compared to the Marines. Same base cost, more weapon systems, more power, twice as many rockets, more health, 1 extra person. Then we have the Russian naval infantry. We played a lot with these 3 rockets. As you see, outclassed. I don't think any unit has 3 rockets. Shotguns, 2. Overall, those are like a lot of the differences between the Russian and American infantry. They're both really strong, but at this current state, the Russians just have more firepower. More firepower, more men, right? Those are the 2 things. What else would you need? More, like, better recon vehicles or better recon units? You have better recon, more firepower, more people on the battlefield. I think those are, so if we were to compare directly to the NATO, obviously NATO has a more flexible recon system. They can put different units at the front lines. But the Russians are going to steamroll a lot of your intro vehicles, like your JLTVs, your Bradleys that roll on, especially if you have these units set to ambush. I mean, just put like an RPG right in them. And you have 3 of them right here, or you have 2 of them right here. 12 rockets, shut it down. Then you have like your anti-air section, mainly just to shoot ground vehicles, helicopters, with your Iglas and your VDVs. This one, I think these are going to be really useful, but as you see, they go ground, infantry, helicopter. Really, really powerful weapon systems. Lots of fun. Interesting little setup. 20 health, 5 people. 5 people. I think these units were really powerful too, right? 5 for 20 health for a 5-man squad. If we compare these directly to the SMA team, 4-man squad, less health, and 2 rockets compared to 1 rocket. Bit of balance right there. So the SMAs are a bit better in that aspect. That's a good little comparison. I'm still not overly enthusiastic about this crew, but we'll see how they perform on the battlefield. Moving on to the vehicles, because I don't want this video to be 45 minutes long. I've already recorded it twice. We have, what I want to point out here is that their capabilities, right? I haven't seen this. Very capable, lightweight. They're lightweight. They have the same armor thickness as American vehicles. They have the possibility to be airdropped, and they're amphibious. So overall, if you were to compare like adaptability, these vehicles, a lot of the Russian vehicles are really, really strong. They can be airdropped on the battlefield. They weigh less. They have the same amount of armor. They carry a lot of people, and they're amphibious. You'll see this when you make your own comparisons, right? Airdropped amphibious, BMG, amphibious, lightweight, 16 armor. I believe if we compare that to the Bradley, that's where they be this vehicle's comparison, right? Oh, this has a lot of armor. Is it up armored or no? Base armored. We also clicked on like the Super Bradley. Where's our Bradley? 69. All right, so the Bradley's not a good comparison. Outstanding good. I can find some good balance there. I haven't done a lot of these lightweight systems. The BMD, thinly armored, but I want to show you one that really stood out to me. This one right here. This is a really, really powerful. Obviously, this is 160, I believe, total to have this weapon system. You get 4 coordinate missiles as well as bullets. So you have the ability to basically wipe off any mechanized force. Like that's like really, really powerful. 2,700 meters, lead pursuit, perfect for taking out vehicles. That's 1 vehicle, 2 vehicle, 4 Bradleys down. Then you have these vehicles, this system as well, 8 lead pursuit. Even if it's just damage or suppressive power, 2,700 meters for the 8 lightweight missiles. I don't know, guys. That's just, and a lot of armor. Not as comparable to, actually, 86? Or was it Bradley, 69? Bradley was 69? Okay. Yeah. Out armors the Bradley as well. Out armors him. Out weapon systems him. Out everything's him. Cool. Maybe that's our Bradley competitor, right? Do I have any upper armor? Nope, base armor. And he costs 100 with just the cannon compared to the Bradley, which costs, I wish the system worked better, 70. All right, give us a little bit of armor. But that's the base model. That's not our Super Bradley. We'd want our Super Bradley with our toe and everything. That's just gone. Why can't this one? So this one has 4 toes. No, that has a laser designator or a camera of sorts. So 2 toes, less armor, costs more. Cool. Compared to 110. All right. Just bring me Russia. Thank you. Bring me Russia. All right, moving on. I think that's just important to note, right? Really, really, really powerful. Really strong. And I wish this wasn't so bugged over here on the right-hand side so we can go quicker. One thing you'll notice, autocannon, and then it gets this little gun turret. I don't think the JLTV gets that type of gun turret. I know it gets like a 30 millimeter autocannon, but this is really strong. I could definitely see that playing a big role. So as you see, like the Russians, they have a lot of firepower. They have a lot of armor on their armored vehicles. I mean, just the ability to just dump ammo. I could see all these vehicles being really powerful on the battlefield. BTR, it looks like the BTR. I just like the BTR because it's a BTR. We'll go to the best version. Smoke dispensers, ATGMs, lead pursuit vehicle, 2,700 meter range. Interesting. Really, really strong. This thing's a little goofy. What does it get? Probably anti-tank, right? That's really cool. So it gets 2 Stinger missiles as well as a cannon. Probably good for suppressing infantry. This is probably the same boat, right? You're just going to, a lot of these lightweight airdroppable vehicles, right? Still airdrop, still amphibious. It's weird. Really, really, really powerful. Maybe the direct competitor, the JLTV right here. Weapons package, autocannon. It's a beastly little autocannon right here. 30 millimeter gun. Really, really strong. I'd like to use that on the... All these look really blocky, though. Tanks, T-72. We're just going to talk about the T-72s and T-80s. I don't think... Like, honestly, our comparisons, it's all ATGMs, right? So it's going to come down to ATGMs, how you're going to use them on the battlefield. So your anti-tank weapons, how you're going to engage infantry with those heavy machine guns that are both good for anti-aircraft, as well as suppressing enemy infantry forces, and they may have some sort of penetration. Overall, some of the Russian vehicles are lightly armored, but there are ones that stand out, like that BMD. I believe that's what it was called, which has a lot of firepower and a lot of capability. Just in itself, it has more armor than the Has more armor than the Bradley. It has more weapon systems, and overall, it's a great tactical vehicle that's going to shut down a lot of pushes. I'd be really careful of that vehicle. Probably revisit and do some balancing. The Americans only have one airdroppable tank. I believe the Soviets only have one airdroppable tank as well, which is right here, the Sprut. And as you see, it has armor-piercing, fin-stabilized, 18,000 pounds. It's also amphibious. I don't think the Americans is amphibious. Where's the Sherman? Just turn off, dude, bro. As we look for the one tank that we're never going to find. I know what it's called. It's called the Sheridan, too. Sheridan, where are you? Right there. 15,000 pounds. Less. No armor piercing, fin stabilized. So this has high explosive anti-tank. Airdropped, recon, not amphibious. So if we go to direct comparison with the Russian, weighs more, airdroppable, amphibious, better weapon systems, right? Jesus, dude, this is what is this, 150 compared to the America, which is 120. So 30 more points. You get the armor piercing, fin stabilized. You get more high explosive anti-tank. You probably get more high explosives. We do get this MGM-3s. That's a missile. So we get a missile. Lead pursuit missile. 2,700 meter high explosive anti-rank damage 12. I wonder how that compares to the Sprut. No, they get it too. Lead pursuit missile 6. Cool. Modernizations, armor, cool. Overall, so you get an amphibious tank, you get an airdrop tank on the Russian side, and you get high explosive anti-tank as well as armor piercing. You also get more high explosives, I believe almost more. We up armored it. So even its base model is really, really powerful, even for those 30 more points. T-14, we don't see anything on that, unfortunately. T-72, you get to upgrade the armor, the engine. As you notice, that you don't really have that in the American side with the M1s or the M60s, I believe. You get a defense package. You get so many different types of defense packages. It's crazy. A lot of passion into these tanks on the Russian side. And then you get this vehicle. Support. I was going to bounce back and forth between support, comparing the HIMARS, which I did in my last video. One thing you'll make note of is the Grad has 15,000 range, 40 high explosives, a dispersion rate of 250. This is where a lot of our balancing is. America's a lot more precise with its weapon systems. It also doesn't shoot as far, and its blast radius is a bit different. Penetration 120, high explosive anti-tank. The base Grad, if I remember correctly, really outclasses the America's HIMARS. Right? It will let us bring it up. Please, dude. Come on, stop this. I don't want to fight you. All right, so let's go. Just our basic unitary warhead. It comes with 6. This isn't right. Give me the correct system, dude. Okay, cool. I guess it is 6, 9,000 meter range, 250 blast dispersion, damage 23, blast radius 32 meters. Then you obviously can upgrade it several times to different types of weapons, different ranges. High explosive anti-tank or dual purpose improvised cluster munitions, 9,000 meters, 250, damage 12, blast radius 64. And that's just going to be our base comparison. So we come back to the absolute basic Grad. Right here. 15 outranges, same dispersion, less damage, a little bit less radius, suppression power 122, and more weapons. So overall, I mean, for the same dispersion, more range, you're paying 150 compared to the HIMARS. I wish these were just Russian ones would just go away. Thank you. 230. Really? It might seem, no, that's not right. 0. 200. HIMARS cost more, less missiles, basically all balanced the same. So right now what I'm thinking is it's still really early alpha. A lot of this can be balanced out still, but a lot of favoritism. I'm not going to hide my current feelings on it. A lot of favoritism. I mean, obviously, just right here, we have 5 different multi-launch rocket systems, right? MLRSs. 1, 2, 3, 4, several types of artillery. All really, really useful smokes. High explosives, 152, all a bit cheaper. This one right here also has, I believe, the difference is like you get your Krasnopol Ds compared to your Krasnopol Ms. I don't know the accuracy, so let's compare that. Dispersion 70 to 35 meters. That's backwards. And when you do the Ds, it's 70 to 35 damage. Blast radius 22, damage 15.5. Suppressive. There's no difference in these right now. If I'm looking at it right now, 4,500 meters. I wish it would just leave them open, bro. Longer range. You're paying 30 more points for longer range. I believe like 1,000 extra meters. I guess that's really good for your precision artillery if you can get a UAV in position. Overall, a really powerful artillery section. I don't know if a lot of people have pointed that out. I've seen a lot of these vehicles. I can just see me dominating I can see the Russians dominating the recon war. While the recon's not as flexible, just that infantry squad alone, if you can just get it into position, you don't really need a flexible recon squad, right? You don't want your recon units engaging with like high explosive weapons. That's not their purpose. The infantry, just some of the base infantry stats, as you saw. I mean, 3 rockets compared to 2 rockets. So you're talking double the firepower when push comes to shove. As far as the vehicle current status, I haven't compared the M1s to the T-72s or the T-80s, but I'm sure the T-80s, there's some like varying differences that I would probably highlight. It would be like reload speed, ammo count, stabilization quality, recon, weight, things like that. And it's also strange that the T-80 just has different variants. I wonder why they chose to go like that with a T-80. And if we go back to America, just take a quick look. And if you don't like how I'm bouncing back and forth, let me know down in the comments, because I don't know like what you guys think of that armor package. Right? You just get a basic armor package compared to the M60 armor package. So overall, still not a lot of things are missing. You'll also notice that if we come down here to the supplies or the helicopters, that the Ka-50 really outclasses the Apache just in the amount of ammunition it can take, or weapon systems. Right here we have 12 high explosive anti-tanks. While the warheads may vary in size, I'd imagine, and penetration, it's still really, really good. I mean, the Apache gets 8 Hellfires compared to 12 on just the Ka-50, a base sniper platform. This is really good. I mean, just that firepower to have with you is really, really good. I mean, so you're talking more anti-tank on the Russian side, a lot more anti-tank, less precision with some of their weapon systems, more range, less precision, more amount. So you're putting more firepower downrange at a further downrange, a little less precise, but not, honestly, I don't think it's too much to write home about on that precision. Obviously, precision is like key to like modern battlefield, but I mean, if you're just dumping like 50 rockets downrange and maybe in a 250 by 250 square compared to 6 rockets with the HIMARS without that precision, I mean, in a video game, it doesn't really matter if you don't have that precision. Ka-52s, I mean, there's not really too much to talk about with the helicopters. It's all going to come down to just, right, how many rockets can I put on, how many ATGMs, and how many anti-air missiles, right? That's where our balance is with these systems. I don't even think America has the Super Cobra outer pylons, anti-tank. They do get, all right, 2 compared to, what did I have the Ka-52 selected? 4, obviously, so more firepower. See? It's always more on the Russian side. I'm not going to like hide that fact. Like, I'm not going to hide those thoughts from you. That's just how I feel. Like, obviously it's a bit more expensive, but even still, it's not that more expensive when I showed you some of the units. So there's a lot of balancing to be done on the Russian side. Heinz, kind of disappointed there's no door gunners. These come with your same basic loadout. They'll come with anti-air missiles. They're going to come with anti-tank missiles, right? Outer pylons, gun pod, rockets, inner pylons, rockets. So if we go find our actual Hind that has everything that we need with a cannon Mi-24P, VP. So this is the one with rockets, anti-air missiles, and then rockets, ATGMs, right? That's how this one. So you have rockets, you have ATGMs, and you have anti-air right there. All for the cost of 130, I believe. 180 for this fantastic weapon. This is really powerful. I mean, it's probably going to have a lot of armor too because it's a Hind. This is going to dominate the battlefield if it can get close. No door gunner. If I can get this to show up, it carries 20,000 pounds. So right now the Russians are better at logistics as well as carrying things. So if we compare this to the CV-22 as well as the Super Stallion, you will be able to see the Super Stallion, if this starts working, for the love of God, carries 14,000 pounds. The CV-22, the varying formats will carry, I believe, 7,000, if I can get it to work. 5,000. So 6,000 and 6,000. The Russians are able to do logistics better than America too right now. Worth noting. Better at logistics, better artillery, better infantry, better armor, better recon. And better cargo. 4,000. So they get two different types. This one only carries 4,000 compared to the CV-22. Moving on to air. A lot of so one thing you'll make note of. So this is, I believe, the only one with really like a unit insignia. I don't even think it has a unit insignia on it. But they're really bland. Let's just start with the B1, the 2, the T. What does this one get? Bombay. Does this one get nukes? No. So if you compare the 260, we're just gonna do a quick little comparison. It gets the Fab 9000, the general purpose bombs have a 7-meter blast radius greater than the tactical nuke that comes with America. That's one comparison I would make. You'll also note that it also gets 2 of them, so they get, I believe, 14 meters greater blast radius total. The range is a bit shorter, I believe 14,000 compared to 10,000. It's also a bomb, whereas the other one, I believe, is a strategic missile, so that's worth noting. I don't want this video to go on too much longer. There's no information on the 295. Probably going to have like long-range strategic missiles flying way out of range, just punishing any NATO force that sees it. The SU, where is it? Where's the SU-57? That's the only one I care about. SU-57 has a lot of weapon systems. But the one thing to make note about it, it's faster than both the F-35 and the F-22 at this moment in time. It has a little bit less maneuverability if you compare that to the F-35 and F-22. So if you grab our F-35 and F-22, slower and more maneuverability, and the F-35B, this one's way slower and more maneuverability. So speeds life on the air fight. These are a bit more maneuverable. They do have some greater range, but we would really have to compare weapon systems at the end of the day to see which one's better. You'll also note that, right, this one, they all say the same thing right here, this BKC, or these Russian lettering, all the same. So if you were to compare that to the current NATO side, like the F-35, or let me find any of them to show you. A lot of our information is more open source. Like this is New Jersey, I believe, Grim Reapers. You can see there's unit insignias, things like that. A lot more publicly available, so I wonder if they're not allowed to display this information, like where these units are based. I wonder if there's something like that going on, right? They all have the red star. Can't really see a lot of what's going on with these vehicles. They're really powerful, really cool. So far, from my current impressions of all of it, I'm going to reiterate what I said in the beginning. Recon stronger, Russian recon more powerful, less adaptability at this current stage. American recon, more adaptable, more weapon systems. Infantry's kind of close. Russian, obviously, eking out more. They have better weapon systems. Vehicles, I mean, dude, just the ability to airdrop just the same armored system with some of the BMDs, and as well as 4 tows. Like, that one had like 8 different ways to engage vehicles for the cost of maybe a Bradley with 2-tow missiles. Needs a lot of balance looked at in the vehicles. The T-72s, the T-80s. I mean, there's just more love going to the Russian side right now. Supplies, so support, I call it supplies, SUP. Support, better, like more longer range artillery systems. with the Grads shoot further than the HIMARS unless you're using the ATACMs. Same dispersion, same blast radius. Some of the damage changes a little bit. So I don't know, guys. Russian artillery is just better, right? And we saw that with the tanks as well. Their airdrop tank is better than the U.S. Sheridan. So it's also amphibious. It's also airdroppable. It has armor-piercing fin-stabilized rounds. It has the same missiles on it. It has more high explosives shells. So overall, the Russians are winning in the armor fight as well. Logistics goes to the Russians as well. Just their helicopter alone to carry 20,000 supplies is just uncontested, right? If you compare that to the CV-22s or even, I believe, what was a Super Stallion, 14,000. I mean, it's better. Like, their logistics is better as well. Helicopters, they're better. They have more capability. At the end of the day, they have more anti-tank weapon systems. They have more anti-airs on their helicopters, 4 compared to 2. They're cheaper. Their air power, I mean, like, better. It's just better. Everything on the Russian side is just 5% better than the U.S. side at this moment in time. And if you don't agree, let me know down in the comments. Bye.